Hey, what's up everyone and welcome to Daily Code Buffer. In this video, we are going to see what is stateful set in Kubernetes, why we need a stateful set and how it is different from the deployments. So let's get started. So what is stateful applications? So stateful applications are all those applications which manages the states of the current environment, what is available. Okay. So the examples of stateful applications are like all the databases like MySQL, Oracle, MongoDB, Cassandra, anything. Okay. So all those databases are an example of a stateful application, which means that they store the state of the entire application. So whatever operation is performed on that particular database will be happen based on the current state of that particular application, either it be all the database or either it be any of the applications. On the other hand, stateless applications are the application which doesn't store the state. Each request will be completely new, which means that they don't store the state of the application. Each of the requests will be individually performed, or each of the requests will be individually served. Let's take one example to understand that. We are taking one of the Java application running on a Tomcat server. We have created that using the Spring Boot application, and one that is a MySQL database where we are storing the database. So all the requests coming to that Java application using that particular APIs that we have created, that will contain the data for each of the requests. If you take the example to store the user, so that particular API request will have the data for that particular user. It will be in the form of XML or JSON data. But once we get that, once the Java application gets that particular request, it will route that particular request to any of the database that we want to store the data. So suppose in this case it's MySQL database, where that particular data will be stored based on the current state of that particular database. So suppose currently there are 3 records inserted for that particular user, and that new records comes, there will be 4 records now, and from that database only all the query operations will be performed for that particular application that we already have for that user. So our database is considered as a stateful application where it is storing the state of the current application, and our Java application is a stateless application which doesn't concerns about the state. It will just execute all the requests. Now, how these stateful set applications are deployed in Kubernetes cluster? We already know that stateless applications are deployed in Kubernetes cluster using the deployment component. This deployment component is nothing but the abstraction for the pods. All the pods will be having its containers, and all those containers will be status applications that we are running. Example, Java application, Node.js application, Go application, or anything. So all those are stateless applications which doesn't concerns about the current state of the application. And with this particular deployment, we can deploy all our pods in our Kubernetes cluster. We can scale them up also, and we can scale them down also. On the other hand, stateful applications are deployed using the stateful set component in Kubernetes cluster. So stateful set is just similar to deployment component in Kubernetes cluster. Just the difference is it is used to deploy stateful applications. So stateful set component is also the abstraction for the pods component in Kubernetes cluster. Now, as we have a deployment component as an abstraction for the pods, then why we need the stateful set component as an abstraction of pods for this stateful application? So for that, let's understand the difference between deployment and stateful set. Now, one thing to note over here is replicating or scaling the stateful application is more difficult than replicating or scaling the stateless application. So let's take the same example for our Java application and the MySQL database. I have created a deployment for my Java application, and the replica set is 1. So only one replica is available in my Kubernetes cluster. And if I want to scale it up, if I'm doing the 3 replicas or 4 replicas, I can easily change the replica set in the deployment file, and 4 replicas will be created in the Kubernetes cluster. Now this scaling is very easy because there is no state to maintain, right? Because all of the pods, all of the containers are individual. They can act and they can sustain individually. And all these particular pods are created using the random order, using the random hashes. So once you have created the deployment and you have scaled up your deployment, and if you go to kubectl get pods, then you will get the list of pods created for that particular deployment. And if you see that, there will be a different hash generated for all of the pods that you have created. So that particular hash values will be differentiating factor for all those particular pods that are created. So that particular hash value would be unique, randomly generated every time when a new pod is created. And for all these particular pods that are created, we will be having one service which will load balance all the traffic to all the different pods that we have created using this particular deployment. So this is the way how stateless application will be deployed in Kubernetes cluster. But when it comes to stateful application, let's take the example of MySQL database again. To replicate the database is very difficult, right? That scaling can be randomly addressed. We need to define the particular identity for all the pods that we create in the Kubernetes cluster for all our stateful applications. So this is the key part, what stateful set does in the Kubernetes cluster. So stateful set will create all our pods in the Kubernetes cluster using the sticky identity. What do you mean by sticky identity? That means whenever the pod will be created, that pod will have a unique name. That won't be randomly generated. That unique name is created using the name of the pod that you give and the replica value. So it will start with 0, 1, 2 and so on, how many replicas that you give. And all these pods which are created will be having the same specification, but they won't be interchangeable. So we will be having the persistent specific identifier for rescheduling our components in Kubernetes cluster. Now why this particular identity is necessary? So let's take the example. You have a MySQL database and you have deployed that MySQL database in one of the cluster, and that is considered as the master node. So there is a concept in the stateful application where you have a master and slave nodes. So the master will be the one who will be having the read and write access to the entire database. So suppose MySQL is a database that we have took over here. So master node of that particular MySQL cluster will be having the access to read and write. And the remaining replicas that we create when we scale the application, that will be having only read access to that particular application. Why only read access? Because if we allow write access to both the nodes available, then we will end up with the inconsistent data over here. So always one particular node will be having the access to read and write, and the rest of the particular nodes or rest of the particular instances will be having only read access. Now to make this thing consistent and to replicate the data in all our clusters into all our nodes available, we need to do the continuous synchronization. Now continuous synchronization will happen only when you have a different storage available for all your instances available. So suppose your master node will be having the different persistent volume, your scaled up different instances will be having the different persistent volume for that particular pod available, and that way. So once you have the persistent volume for all the different nodes, and this persistent volume has to be external, it shouldn't be local to the pod available, because when the pod dies, that particular storage will also die. So when you create the persistent volume, that is not tied up to the life cycle of the pod, so it will always remain the same. We are considering that there will be a persistent volume when you're creating the stateful set, and that particular persistent volume will be synchronized, will be having the internal storage to it, and all the data from the master will be synchronized continuously to all this particular nodes available. So how this will help us is when there is a new node created, when we scale up the application, that particular new instance is created based on the last successful instance that we have, the last successful pod which was created using the stateful set. So suppose we have 3 nodes available, 0, 1 and 2 for MySQL, and we created the 4th instance, 4th pod for our MySQL instance, then that particular pod will be created using the previous version, that is the 3rd version, and all the data will be copied from that to its particular persistent volume. So this means that every time scaling up and scaling down will be in sequence in the stateful set. So suppose you have specified that you have to create a stateful set with the 3 replicas, then those 3 replicas will be created sequentially. Always the first master node will be created with the 0 value, that is MySQL -0. If you give the name MySQL as the pod name, then MySQL -0 will be created first. Once that is successful, then only MySQL 1 will be created, and after that MySQL 2 will be created. And when you scale down the application, the last successful one, that is MySQL 2, will be deleted first, and then MySQL 1 will be deleted, and so on. So this will be the sequence always followed when you scale up and scale down the stateful set in the Kubernetes cluster. So with this particular characteristics, stateful set always have 2 possible ways to identify the stateful set, or how to identify that particular stateful set. So the number one is using the service that we have already created for the stateful set, okay, and the other one is the using the DNS name. So for the every pod that is created using the stateful set, there will be a DNS name for it, because using that DNS name only we can identify that particular pod name, because that particular pod name can destroy and a new pod can be created at that particular point, and you already know that every time the pod is created, new IP address will be created to it, but the DNS name will remain the same. So we can directly access that particular DNS name also. So that's a sticky identity for the pod. So this DNS name will be given based on the name of the pod you give dot the backing service that you create. So for every stateful set component you create, you have to create a headless service. So that headless service name we can give and we can access that particular pod. So that is the characteristic that we get when we are creating the resources using the stateful set. Now this was all about the stateful set, how stateful set works and how we can create the stateful set in the Kubernetes cluster. But all the things that we talked about, right, like synchronization and creating the replicas and everything, that has to be maintained by the user. Kubernetes will help you to do everything, but Kubernetes won't be responsible to do all the synchronization and do the replicas and everything. We have to configure our application such a way that everything is possible. Kubernetes will help us to make it everything easier. So ideally, all the stateless applications are the ideal candidate for containerizing the application. So either it be a Docker or Kubernetes or any other technology, stateless application will always be preferable using that particular containerization. But for the stateful application, containerization is always difficult. But if there is a thing that you want to do and if there is a possibility that you have to do that way, then Kubernetes will support that particular thing as well. So this is all about stateful set and stateful application and how to manage them and how to deploy them in Kubernetes cluster. If you got value out of this video, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for the upcoming videos. I will see you in the next video. Till then, happy coding. Bye bye.